Deep in the fields, you come across a group of young men clearing weeds and sod from a roadside plot. Pitchforks flying, weeds dying. You almost don't notice that the dark lump beside them is a dozing boy, lying smack dab in the middle of their work. There's an odd frenzy to the way these boys are ripping the sod apart. When they notice you approaching, they jog over and stand silently between you and their sleeping comrade. The youths share nervous looks. The oldest steps forward. Get going, he blurts, leveling a pitchfork at your gut. His hands are shaking. He seems serious. You step closer, and the ringleader loses his nerve. He died, he blurts. He was sweating and crying, and he just fell over. They won't come get us with the truck till sundown. You realize now that the sleeper's been posed. The ashy shadow on his face wasn't cast by a tree. Three delivery trucks sit on the waterfront, their drivers securing the cargo. 12 cop cars form a protective half-ring around them. Their occupants seem to be gearing up for combat. You approach a pair of cops. The broad one pushes shells into a shotgun with a practiced motion and an undercurrent of excitement. His wiry partner indicates the trucks. We gotta get these through. Keep them secure. The broad cop grunts. You been living under a rock? Strikers, says the other. Socialist motherfuckers, the broad one adds. The wiry cop looks away. The broad cop sneers. Doesn't matter. They better fall in line. The other shakes his head. My cousin's out there. I don't think their demands are... Maybe you're standing on the wrong side. Come on. They walk off to join a briefing huddle. Whatever your feelings, there's nothing you can do. You turn away and walk back towards the river. fields of corn and rye. A small farm lies fallow. Its tiny stable crumbles into disrepair, and foxtails sprout from its fields. Inside, the sunlight filtering in through two small windows turns to hazy gray shafts in the thick dust that blankets the interior. There's not much in the way of furniture, but on a rustic kitchen table, a handwritten note catches your eye. Never open. It's addressed to Martha and unsigned. Her name is written in the stiff letters of a man for whom literacy is more a formality than habit. If you find this, I'm already gone. Don't come looking for me. The rest is scratchy spirals and circles of halfway readable writing about the noises from the cellar and the hunger in the darkness. The cellar door at the edge of the abandoned kitchen calls to your attention. The door is unlatched. The ground below is deeply stained with some dark residue you can't identify. Upon it, only ancient piles of chains and manacles, slowly turning to rust. There's a truck parked here. The driver mistakes your look for curiosity. "You want to see something interesting?" he asks, pointing to the trunk. He opens it. There's hundreds of metal tubes with little numbered screw-on caps sorted in wooden racks. "We've been surveying," he said. "It's my job to study soil health." The trunk has a map taped to it, marked with numbered dots. "I can show you the one from your hometown if you see it here." It's an official-looking map, but the state borders and rivers are wrong. Half your county is missing. The surveyor offers you a coin for directions to your hometown, but his notes are funhouse mirror English writing. "Fascinating," he murmurs. "We learn so much from you folks." The baby buffalo lies tangled by a fence, wire biting into its flesh. "Please," it says, "I must reach the sanctuary before they find me." The light here has a thin quality. Colors are oddly muted. There's a taste of something old in the air. "They were hunters of my kind. I am the last born. Every year it repeats. I must run. They must chase. It is the cycle that lets my people survive." You hear hoofbeats. A ways back down the road, a cloud of dust rises. The buffalo struggles. "Please, help me." The wire cuts into your hands, but you untangle the animal. The buffalo charges off as soon as it's free. "Come on!" You glance behind. A trio of riders emerges at the head of the dust cloud. You run alongside the buffalo. "Not far," it grunts. "Just ahead." You see the boundary, a line of rocks that mark the border, but the hoofbeats sound close. The ground dips, and the beast stumbles and falls. They'll be on you any second. You stand defiant in the path of the riders. They're coming in fast, wreathed in dust, but you hold your nerve. The lead rider veers at the last moment. The other two haul on the reins, sending their horses sliding. You're thrown into the dirt. The buffalo crosses the line and turns with a defiant bellow. A primal sound that far outstrips its size. It drags its feet through the dirt, kicking up a cloud of dust. When it settles, the four are nowhere to be seen. You hear the distant clamor of a herd in motion.
When that ferryman comes for to tally up my worth, I won't leave much to find that can be found.
The girl tilts her basket away to hide whatever's inside.
You want to see what I got? I'm not telling.
She raises her eyebrows, encouraging you to pry further. This girl is either very confident or too young to know shyness.
Ha! Got you hooked. Too easy.
She twists her lips to one side, mimicking a more adult, thoughtful gesture.
I'll tell you what. I'll show you what's in the basket if you do something for me. Excellent. I want you to kill my mother.
She looks to check if you're paying attention, then points to a figure working at the other end of the field.
She's boring. She keeps making me work when I want to play.
The girl bursts into peals of laughter. She doubles over the basket, laughing so hard she's barely able to stand. When she can speak again, she says,
You should have seen your face. You really should.
She beckons you over, shows you her basket. 3 kittens snuggle up at the bottom. They're barely old enough to open their eyes.
Ma gave them to me for being good. I've called them Badb, Matcha, and Anand, after a story Nana told me.
She preens.
I'm very clever, you know.
Well, I'm gonna scroll my name on the bare bones of the earth. I'm gonna dig my heels into the ground. 'Cause when that ferryman comes for to tally up my worth, I won't leave much to find that can be found. Well, I'm gonna have my spade up upon my weed back. I'm gonna keep lost rods tucked into my soul. 'Cause when my coals burn low and my trains run out of track, won't be no
Just a moment there.
He says, shaking your hand.
I'm Paul Dalhart from the Republican Herald. You may have heard of it. Syndicated in 6 counties. Well, no matter. But listen, you may have noticed a vocal few out there. I call them naysayers, who throw up their hands and fly the white flag as soon as life gets a little tough. But wouldn't you agree that it's never been a better time to live and do business in this country?
He nods happily, scribbles down your details for the paper.
I could tell you weren't a naysayer the first time I saw you. My thanks.
And his voice drops to a conspiratorial whisper as he palms you a quarter.
From a brother in arms.
And when the night comes round for to take me hand in hand, this will be my tale, vagrant song. This will be my tale, my vagrant.
The storm swept in just before sundown, heralded by a purple sky and electricity in the air. He sought shelter alongside a grizzled farmer. All he can do is pace, muttering to himself.
Can't just stay here.
You catch.
Gotta find her.
He looks up at you.
My daughter was out down the road.
He balls his fists.
God, fuck this.
He hauls open the door, shielding his face from the fierce dust. He runs out into the storm. The dust scours your skin, and razor winds whip at your clothing. You struggle for breath. The maelstrom has turned the world murky red. You don't see the farmer. You press on through the storm. You see the farmer up ahead. He's on his knees. A great, dark shape made from swirling dust looms over him. You manage no more than a cough. The dust thing engulfs the man in his body. The storm whips faster. You can't breathe. You have to get back to shelter. You make it to safety, but don't manage any sleep. Storm settles in the early hours. You find the farmer laid out in the street, his corpse a shriveled mass. He has one arm stretched out in front of him, as if to crawl. The Twisters touch down in a cornfield, fence posts flying in its wake. A huge black stallion charges toward the tornado. On its back, a cowboy whips his lasso through the churning air, nearly matching the Twister's speed. His wild laughter carries on the wind.
God damn it, Bill!
Another man hollers, clapping his hands to his hat to keep it from flying off.
Quit being a damn fool!
The man on the horse turns toward him and flashes a beatific grin before digging his heels harder into the horse's flanks. His Stetson goes flying, caught by a gust. He doesn't seem to notice. He barks a single yee-haw as he stands in the stirrups, leaning into the whirlwind. In a moment, man and beast are enveloped in the storm. All you can hear is Bill's wild laughter. A hurried little girl collides into you with a wheelbarrow full of hay, nearly knocking you out of your shoes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You nod, but the way the girl fusses over the wheelbarrow, was that apology meant for you?
Lost? Me? No, not at all.
She stands up taller and squares her shoulders, projecting an image of adulthood so stiff she looks about to tip over.
But I guess I could use a little help. Can I ask you something pretty, please? Well, I found this critter, but my daddy won't let me keep it unless I take real good care of it.
Relating this dilemma has put her on the verge of tears.
Do you know how I can be the very best pet owner in the world?
The girl bursts into hysterical laughter, like she just heard the funniest joke.
I don't know how to feed it when it don't have a mouth.
The laughter fades, and her look of worry returns.
Any other ideas?
She smiles so bright.
That's all it takes? Gosh, I already love it so much.
A weathered man unties a fishing boat from its mooring.
You heading out to fish? Can rent you a boat if you like. The lake's well stocked, but
He isn't smiling anymore.
there's a monster in the lake. Locals say it's the biggest trout ever to live. But they're wrong. It's not a fish. Something else. And I'm going to be the one to catch it.
Someone passes a beer into your hand. Waves of chatter wash over you as you listen to the fisherman's stories. Will's been chasing that fish for years now, man tells you.
I don't think he'll ever catch it. It's good fun to watch him try.
Eventually, the convivial chatter is broken by a huge splash. Willie floats in the middle of the lake, his boat upturned, his cap bobbing gently several feet away.
Almost had him that time.
He splutters through a mouthful of water.
Almost had him.
The creature looms in an evergreen clearing, blood spattered around its maw, one enormous paw still buried in the flesh of the man sprawled beneath it. The grizzly spots you. Even at this distance, you can see its yellowed fangs. Slowly, deliberately, it begins to advance on you. You drop to your knees, curling into a ball. The only noises you can hear are your breathing and the bear's warning grunts. The bear's rancid breath is hot on your neck as it sniffs you. After what feels like an eternity, it wanders away. You remain still as the light fades. Eventually, you dare to move. It's just you and the dead man in the clearing. He looks dressed for a day foreclosing property, not trudging through the forest. The company here is unsettling, with him dead and you playing so. The Chinook salmon, having come to the end of its journey, is a grotesque beast. A great curved hump on its back, and that deformed hook of a jaw. The raven perched on it is unusually large, with a fat tuft of black feathers wrapped round its neck like a mane. With one practiced peck, it strikes at the salmon's blurred eye and pops it like a grape snapping open under your teeth. After tasting the fluid inside, it turns toward you, beady black eyes glinting in dying sunlight.
You want some? I can't eat this all by myself. Suit yourself.
It steadies itself on the carcass, and some of the uric smell wafts over to you.
Don't look a gift eyeball in the mouth's what I always say.
His voice is throaty and rough, fittingly.
What are you here for? Not the salmon. People stories, huh?
It tries to preen a stray feather back into place, but it only ends up more crooked.
What's so great about people? You should collect raven stories. Much better. Well, this one's a secret.
It flaps its wings and flies towards you, perching on your shoulder.
You see, there once was this raven who liked to...
And then, instead of finishing his thought, he just snaps at your eye with that sharp needle of a beak. You flinch and close your eyes instinctively, losing your balance and taking an ungainly fall onto the soft sand of the riverbed.
Ah!
Cries the raven, once again perched on the dead salmon.
People always fall for it. You should have seen your face.
A plank has been precariously raised as a tiny jetty over a creek, cutting its way through the woods. She's dressed in a simple baby blue dress of the same cloth as her daughter's. Both are bent at the waist, staring into the clear water.
It fell somewhere in here. Can't have gotten far.
She has the rocky voice of a distraught person who's unused to being distraught.
Hey, you!
She runs toward you, looking through displaced locks of wavy black hair.
Do you see my ring down there in the water?
Your eyes scan the bottom of the water, looking for a glint of metal among the moving shimmers of tiny, silver-scaled fish. You reach down into the water, gingerly grasping a narrow band of gold.
Oh, Lord, thank you so much.
She beams, all but stepping into the water to take it from you.
If you hadn't come around, I'd have lost my grandmother's ring. The ring's magical.
The young girl blurts out. Her mother gives her a mock stern look, as though the daughter has just given away a big secret.
You drop it in the river, and it grants a wish.
The mother laughs, shaking the water from her hair.
Why, I wished a stranger would roll into town with some stories.
plants grow and blossom as you watch. The man goes down the line, applying a few drops from a vial as he goes. As the liquid soaks in, each plant pushes up from the soil, unfolding and stretching for the sky. He turns to you.
It's quite something, isn't it? Soy here strangles the crops. People are starving. But even when the plants survive, they don't grow fast enough to fill people's bellies.
He smiles.
My miracle formula will change that.
He shakes his head.
I'm not giving up my secrets that easily. The state will pay a lot of money for this.
He shakes the vial. He tears off a leaf.
Here, try some.
It's just bitter at first, but as you swallow, the fibrous mass burns in your throat. You fight to hold it down, and your stomach knots tight when the plant matter hits it. You cough and hiccup. The man looks at you, curious.
What do you think?
He waves a hand.
Well, yes, there are some kinks to work out, but people are starving. They can't be fussy. Won't be long before no one around here goes hungry again.
Your stomach protests. You feel like you'll be hungry again very soon indeed.